Hello, this is Nick Walters. I am going to do a video presentation for our special topics that we chose. Mine was how the military has been depicted in Hollywood and how the U.S. government has funded and influenced a lot of the depictions of the military. I would like to start out with this short video.
So, say you're a producer and you want to make a war film.
To try and find out whether the Pentagon might be interested, you would walk into the entertainment liaison office in downtown Los Angeles.
You say, I want to film an Air Force base, or I want an aircraft carrier, or I want some Black Hawk helicopters, or whatever it is.
And they would tell you straight away, give us your entire script.
We've worked with Mr. Bay here since Armageddon, if I'm not mistaken, and hope to do more of the same. I've got a direct line to the Pentagon.
Some people probably would say, well, yeah, I've heard of this, like Top Gun, maybe Black Hawk Down, maybe some of the Marvel series.
But what they don't know is how systematic this has been and how huge this operation has been.
You can call it censorship, you can call it propaganda. It's all of these things.
Now these freedom of information requests that have been successful allow us to actually look at that list, and it's stunning.
What we've found is that thousands upon thousands upon thousands of products have been affected and are often rewritten at script level by the national security state in the United States. Do normal people know about that? No, of course they don't.
Okay, so a big thing that video demonstrated is how much influence that the U.S. government has on all the films that are being made about the U.S. military. So like as the video stated, they get to review every script that they need to review. So like if they're gonna ask for military equipment, the DoD or will go over the script and go through it, maybe turn it back in and change the script completely. A big thing is like the propaganda behind it. That has a really big influence, I'd say. The U.S. government is trying to portray a certain image that they want the public to perceive, and they've been doing this forever. Early films from the early 1900s about World War I, World War II, they wanted the U.S. military to appear in a good light. The amount of money that it takes to rent out military facilities and these aircraft is substantial, so I could say that they have a pretty good reason for going through the script and wanting to know what they what resources they want to use and for what. But it does bring into question how much of a play it does have. I have a few other resources that talk about different perspectives on the military in film. So there's even a quote by saying that the narrative continues Hollywood's approach to later conflicts, including the Vietnam War, a case in point, another famous or infamous John Wayne movie, The Green Berets. So that was just another film that the government was able to look into and kind of edit based off what they wanted to do with it. I forgot, as stated in that, Michael Bay, this huge producer of movies, most knownly for the Transformers and having all these military installations, big explosions, and him saying he has a direct line to the Pentagon, I think is pretty big. It's just crazy that like these filmmakers will have to contact the U.S. government and be able to get these resources. And a lot of the time they do these multi-million-dollar like facilities and equipment, like Top Gun, for example. Those planes are not cheap, so to be able to rent those out is pretty insane. It goes on furthermore to talk about the Wayne film. What's little known is that Wayne personally wrote to U.S. President Lyndon Johnson to ask the government to help him make a propaganda film about the conflict in Vietnam. The Pentagon supplied props and military bases for the movie and retained final script approval. So that's another crazy aspect, that a film director directly contacted the U.S. president to get military resources to make the war scene in a better light. Historically, the Vietnam War was not seen well by the public, so trying to sway their opinion by the use of this propaganda, I think, is pretty substantial. Another aspect of war films is like whether it is depicted correctly. So me personally, I am in the U.S. Army National Guard, and it is a fun thing for me to watch movies and kind of tear apart inaccuracies and things that I know just aren't correct. A lot of things that they do get right is kind of the shouting and the profanity and things like that. But another source I had kind of went into that. This guy was an NCO, so a non-commissioned officer, so he's a sergeant. He's a public affair one, so not a combat arms. I am a combat arms one personally, but so he wasn't really out in the field doing a lot. So I'm not trying to talk crap, but anyways, he's talking about a film by Catherine Bigelow's film, won a bunch of awards and pissed a lot of people off. He said, I'm not the first to write about that debate. On the other hand, what movies like The A-Team does anyone believe Bagtag looked like that in 2010? So he just further talks about how certain movies were depicted in a certain light and how the inaccuracies of it all pissed him off. Like, I will say that I really don't get that mad or heated about films that depict, the military in a way that's not fully accurate, because you only can do so much. But I think there is an argument to be made that since the DoD has such access to these films, that there shouldn't be these large inaccuracies that sometimes are. Like, a lot of times they'll see some ranks missing or patches that are missing, like they won't be wearing the correct patches on the right side of their arm and stuff, and that does get upsetting at some point. But like, it's still a movie and it's made for entertainment purposes, so I wouldn't get too mad at that. I had another resource talking about a World War I depiction to want to ensure the historical accuracy of it with the Army Air Corps. So, fun fact, the Air Force didn't really exist till around World War II-ish. It was established a little bit before. So, it was originally, the airplanes were part of the Army. Army still does have aircraft, including helicopters and stuff like that. But nevertheless, it said the War Department was happy to oblige in the request for these aircraft. In addition to several planes and scores of pilots, it provided bases, advisors, equipment, and soldiers to play extras. The movie's climax, the epic Battle of St. Mill, will assume that Camp Stanley and aerial sequences were filmed above Kelly Field, both near San Antonio, Texas. Captain E.P. Ketchum, a skilled military engineer, oversaw the construction of the trench systems featured in the movie, and Lieutenant Henry H. Hap Arnold, who was taught to fly by the Wright brothers and as a general would have a stellar career during World War II, was set as a technical consultant. So you can kind of see these interweb of the government and the movie-making industry of Hollywood. The military for the U.S. especially has been depicted in a rather well light, always very heroic. Movies like Fury, Hacksaw Ridge, 1917. All these movies depict. Well, 1917 was off-British, but a lot of these Western war films depict, the Allies in this really well light and kind of inspirational light. And these movies definitely help recruiting. I do not have this statistic to back up. This is just off my head, but I know during the first Top Gun, there was a huge recruiting surge, and I know after the second Top Gun, there was an increase in recruiting as well. So these films do work. These films are great at getting people inspired to join the military, to romanticize it sort of. And couldn't say that I've not been a victim of that myself. After joining, you realize it's not all cool stuff. There's a lot of boring paperwork and stuff, but there's still a lot of fun parts to the military. And since I've been talking about Top Gun, I also have a little clip from Top Gun on it, of it romanticizing the military sort of, and how they were able to get these really expensive aircraft.
Range control. Green range is confirmed. I don't see an event scheduled for you, sir.
Well, I'm going anyway.
Nice.
Setting time to target, 2 minutes, 15 seconds.
2:15, that's impossible.
File attack point.
Mavericks inbound.
I'm gonna skip ahead to the end here.
Bullseye, holy shit!
Oh, excuse the profanity there, but even myself, that's pretty, lack of a better word, hype. So it's pretty inspirational to see something like a clip like that gets people really motivated to go and maybe even join the Navy, although I wouldn't join the Navy. But nevertheless, to get the resources necessary for that shot is crazy in itself, because again, that plane is probably worth 20 million taxpayer dollars. So the military, to summarize, the military and the filmmaking industry have basically been joined since early 1900s, basically, when a lot of films started coming out, longer films. Ever since there was a possibility to glorify the military, the film industry has made these military films over and over again for the last 125 years, which I think is pretty phenomenal. Not phenomenal, pretty insane, I'd say, that there have been war movies so early on and used for the same purposes they are today, to inspire and to depict real stories. Although I will say some war movies are a little bit on the more sad side and not meant to romanticize the military as much. Something I think of when that comes to mind is All Quiet on the Western Front. That was, I forgot what side that depicted, but I think it was the German side, and no, it wasn't the German side, but really depicted the horrific parts of war. But overall, I do think the film industry, especially in America, has loved to always glorify the military, and it has been interconnected with the military for years. and I think it will continue to do that for years to come. And I think, okay, that will conclude my video presentation about this topic. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will be signing out.